Okay, today, instead of our regular little devotion day, I am reading a story about a man from 1945 who had been in a concentration camp. This is a beautiful story about a man who could have hated. He could have hated everyone. He could have. He had every right to be mad. He had every right to throw a fit. But he didn't. And he chose something so much better. So I'm going to read you the story about this beautiful story about this man who chose love over hate. His name is, well, I'll tell you his name in a minute, but it's from George Ritchie's book, Return from Tomorrow. When the war in Europe ended in 1945, the 123rd EVAC entered Germany with the occupying troops. I was one of the group that was assigned to a concentration camp near Wutapol, charged with getting medical help to the newly liberated prisoners. Many of them were Jews from Holland, France, and Eastern Europe. This was the most shattering experience I had yet had. I had been exposed many times by the sudden death and injury, but to see the effect of slow starvation, to walk through those barracks where thousands of men had died a little bit over a period of several years, was a kind of new horror. For many, it was an irreversible process. We lost scores every day in spite of all the medicine and food we could rush to them. And that's how I came to know Wild Bill Cody. That wasn't his real name. His real name was 7 unpronounceable syllables in Polish, but he had long, drooping handlebar mustaches like the pictures of the old Western hero. So the American soldiers called him Wild Bill. He was one of the inmates of the concentration camp, but obviously he had not been there long. His posture was erect, his eyes were bright, his energy was indescribable. Since he was fluent in English, French, German, and Russian, as well as Polish, he became a kind of unofficial camp translator. We came to him with all sorts of problems. The paperwork alone was staggering, an attempt to relocate people whose families, even whole hometowns, might have been disappeared. But though Wild Bill worked 15 and 16-hour days, he showed no signs of weariness. While the rest of us were drooping with fatigue, he seemed to gain strength. "We have time for this fella," he'd say. "He's been waiting to see us all day." His compassion for his fellow prisoner glowed on his face, and it was that glow that I came when my own spirits were low. So I was astonished to learn when Wild Bill's own papers came before us one day that he had been here since 1939. For 6 years he had lived on the same starvation diet, slept in the same airless and disease-ridden barracks as everyone else, but without the least physical or mental deterioration. Perhaps even more amazing, every group in the camp looked on him as a friend. He was the one to whom quarrels between inmates were brought for arbitration. Only after I'd been here for several weeks, did I realize what a rarity this was in a compound where the different nationalities of prisoners hated each other almost as much as they did the Germans. As for Germans, feeling against them ran so high that in some of the camps, as they were liberated and the prisoners would seize guns, run to the nearest village, and simply shot the first German that they saw. Part of our instructions were to prevent this from happening. Wild Bill was our greatest asset, reasoning with the most difficult groups, counseling forgiveness. "It's not easy for some of them to forgive," I commented to him one day as we sat over a mug of tea in the processing center. "So many of them have lost members of their families." Wild Bill leaned back in his upright chair and sipped at his drink. "We lived in the Jewish section of Warsaw," he began slowly. The first words I had heard him speak about himself. "My wife, our 2 daughters, and our 3 little boys. When the Germans reached our street, they lined everyone against a wall and opened up with machine guns. I begged to be allowed to die with my family, but because I spoke German, they put me in a work group. He paused, perhaps seeing again his wife and 5 children. I had to decide right then, he continued, whether to let myself hate the soldiers who had done this. It was an easy decision, really. I was a lawyer. In my practice, I had seen too often what hate could do to people's minds and bodies. Hate had just killed to the 6 people who mattered most to me in the world. I decided then that I would spend the rest of my life, whether it was a few days or many years, loving every person I came in contact with. Loving every person. This was the power that had kept a man well in the face of every problem. Wild Bill lived in the same starvation diet, slept in the same airless, disease-ridden barracks as everyone else, but without the least physical or mental deterioration. Wild Bill's attitude, the feeling between his heart and his mind, was one of pure and simple love. He loved every person with whom he came in contact with, and in order to exhibit this kind of love, he would have to have forgiven. What a graphic example of the profound and magnificent power of forgiveness and love. Negative feelings and thoughts and attitudes eat at our body. Positive feelings, thoughts, and attitudes feed our body, nourish our body, and sustain our body. If you are sincere in your desire to overcome any prejudice or hatred you may be carrying around in your heart, but you are having difficulty accomplishing this, may I suggest using a very simple script. And if you want, it's very simple. Many times we hold in our heart hatred or unforgiveness, or it's just hard sometimes to let things go. It's the hardest thing. And sometimes I think we feel like because we need to hold on to it so bad that we're going to be letting someone down if we let go of it. Like we're not living up to all of helping someone else if we allow those feelings to go away. But the greatest thing that you can do for anybody is to let go of the hatred and to be able to help and to heal yourself so that it can help other people. Because it's not helping anybody. If you're upset and you're mad and you're being unforgiving, it's not helping anyone. There is one thing I've had to learn. We all have a choice. We have a choice every single day to make. Every day. God gave us a free will to choose what we do. He gave us a will. He gave us the ability, the right to say, I'm going to forgive somebody, or I'm going to hold on to this thing. I'm going to eat a certain thing, or I'm not. I'm going to forgive somebody, or I'm not. We have the choice to make. The Bible says that a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. If we're saying one thing, we say we love God, but then we have hatred for somebody, that's being a double mind. If we are choosing to just hold on to unforgiveness and to hold on to things just simply because, we feel like, why would God allow something to happen? Well, sometimes God does allow things to happen. God is God. But at the same time, we make choices every day. And sometimes we don't make choices that are good. Sometimes we make choices that are bad for us. That doesn't mean God did that. we had the choice to make. We can choose whether we're going to go do something wrong or do something bad, or we can choose to do what's right and what's good. And God gives us that choice. So if we choose wrong, that's not God making that bad thing happen to us. It's just us making a not good choice. And sometimes I think we forget that. I think we forget that we have choices that we make every day. So we choose to hang on to anger, or we choose to forgive. And like this man, he lost his 5 kids, his wife, standing there staring at them while it happened. He lost everything. In 2 seconds, it's gone. And he had a choice to make. And he said, if I choose, he could choose to be angry and turn out just like the rest of the people were. Or he could choose to forgive them and realize that he can do better. He can help other people. Like he had been a witness and had been an example to all those other people. He had helped so many other people that were in the same situation because he had an attitude of forgiveness. And to me, that's huge. It's huge to think that we have that choice to make. When we start looking to ourselves for the resolution to our own problems, a definite shift takes place inside of us. This shift creates and allows an environment of understanding and forgiveness of self and others. A lot of times, the anger that we see is something that we see in ourselves. We may be looking at someone else and we're getting mad at them, but we may have that same problem going on inside of us. So sometimes we have to do a lot of inner reflection and think, okay, why am I so mad at this person? Why am I angry at them? What have they done? But sometimes we have to work on ourselves first and then be able to help others and to help someone else that may be struggling. God didn't put us here to just get by and be random, and just randomly go to work and just do all the things every single day. God put us here to love one another and to help people and to be an encouragement and to share Jesus with everybody. But if we're holding on to anger and resentment, then we can't help anybody. That's not doing anybody any good, and we're not bringing anybody closer to Jesus. I have a little thing that has helped me tremendously to change how I feel and the attitude I have, and anger and resentment. And if you would like to have this same, it's something very, very simple. It's called a script, but it's very, very simple. It's basically making yourself think outside of who you are and thinking about other people. Changing the way your mind thinks so that you can help someone else. Because if you can work on yourself, then you can begin to help other people. People have gone through the same pain and the same hurt that you have. Because there's a lot of people hurting and they need direction. And so if you know that you can change how you feel, then you can help someone else change how they feel. And it takes time. It takes wanting to change. I mean, like a lot of times we'll say, oh yes, I want to change. But in the back of our mind, we're going, no, I don't really want to change. I don't care. Consciously making a conscious effort to say, I want to change. But then in our subconscious being able to say, okay, I'm going to change. You bring both parts of your brain together into unison. And that's when you become a single mind who's not unstable in all their ways. Because if a double-minded man is unstable, then a single-minded man is stable. Because then your conscious mind and your subconscious are working together for the same purpose and the same goal, and you're being able to go, okay, let's do this. Let's fix this problem. Let's forgive and let's move on and let's help others. So if you're ready for a change and you're ready to do something different, like I've used this little thing, and it's not about, it's not a prayer, because you pray to God. God is your full source. He's where you get all your everything from. God's the one that will help you to change how you feel. But this just allows you to, within your body, every time you think about being aggravated at somebody, or being angry, or having hatred towards something or someone, then this brings back into your mind some of these words, some of the things that you, kind of a little explosion within your head, and you think, okay, stop what I'm thinking, think different, do different. I know different, so I do different. That's what we have to learn, is that when we know better, we do better. We don't do the same things over again. We have to make that conscious choice. We have a choice to make, whether we're going to keep being angry and hating people, or hating someone specifically, or are we going to make that conscious effort to forgive? Are we going to make that conscious effort to say, enough's enough. I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of being hurt. I'm just tired. So I'm going to change my attitude today, and I'm going to begin making a difference in somebody's life. So I challenge you today. Everybody has something or someone that irritates them. So if you really would like, if you're ready for change, then let me know, and I will send you what I have, all of the things that I have that will help you to begin to make those changes and to begin to have a different attitude about life circumstances. So I love y'all, and I hope you have a really, really, really great day, and I will talk to you soon.